G'day collectors, Rob here for another episode of Aussie Diecast Reviews. Hope you're all doing well and I hope you're enjoying the show. So, for today's review we're sticking with the V8 Supercar theme and the Ford brand, and I think I'll do a few more Ford episodes in the next couple of weeks. I've recently got a couple of new Ford cars coming in the post, so yeah, if you're a Ford fan, keep an eye out. So for episode 14 we'll be looking at a car from the 2002 era of the V8 Supercar Championship. And also we'll be reviewing, as I said, a Ford V8 Supercar model. Plus we'll be reviewing a Glenn Seton model for the first time as well. Plus I'll give my honest review and opinion about the car. So that's what we'll be looking at today. So let's get stuck into it and I'll kick it off and we'll be reviewing this car here. Sweet. Okay, so here we have a 118 Classic Carlectables diecast model car. The model is a Ford Au Falcon V8 Supercar. And the team is Ford Credit Racing or Glenn Seton Racing, and the driver is Glenn Seton. This model is based off the 2002 V8 Supercar Championship. This model is not a championship winning model, but it's more a part of the Glenn Seton collection, Ford collection, and I guess you could say the FPR or Ford Performance Racing collection or Pro Drive collection. So for the people watching this may or may not know about Glenn Seton and his team Tickford Racing. I'll quickly give you a bit of info about this. Glenn Seton was an Australian touring car driver. He won the Australian Touring Car Championship in 1993 and 1997 while driving for his own team. But although he never won the Bathurst 1000 like his father Barry did in 1965, I'm pretty sure, Glenn started from pole position in 1994 and 1996 for the Great Race and finished second 3 times. But but he came so close to winning the race in 1995. He was holding a significant lead in the closing stages, but unfortunately his engine failed with 9 laps from the finish, I think. And I still remember to this day watching that race as a kid in 1995 and just feeling so bad for the poor guy. Even though he was a Ford driver, he came so close to winning that race. But yeah, I guess that's motorsport. But yeah, he was a fan favourite here in Australia, for Ford fans anyway. And he was a very fast driver as well, very gifted behind the wheel of a touring car. Glenn would make his race debut in his father's Ford Capri in the 1984 Australian Touring Car Championship. And then he ran his own team for a number of years, and as I said, winning 2 Australian Touring Car Championship titles. But eventually Glenn Seton would retire from full-time racing after the 2005 V8 Supercar season. Then he did a couple of endurance races in 2006 all the way through 2010. And that brings me on to Glenn Seton Racing and Tickford Racing. So Glenn Seton Racing or Tickford Racing was an Australian motor racing team which competed in the Australian Touring Car Championship and the V8 Supercar Championship Series between 1988 and 2002. Now Seton Racing was used, as I said, in the late 80s and all the way through to the 1996. Then the team became Ford Credit Racing, I'm pretty sure. So for them years, Glenn drove a number of cars here in Australia. Cars like Nissans, Ford Sierras, then eventually Ford Falcons. The move to the new V8 formula would prove great for Seton, winning the, as I said, the 1993 and 1997 Australian Touring Car Championship, and claiming a few pole positions at Bathurst. Then, as I said, in 1996 the team scaled back to a single car team with Ford Credit sponsorship after losing major sponsors Peter Jackson at the end of the 1995 season. And in 1999, with increased sponsorship from Ford and its performance vehicle partner Tickford Vehicle Engineering, the team was rebranded as Ford Tickford Racing, so like a semi-factory team. The team also expanded to 2 cars with Neil Crompton driving the second car, and then that brings us to this car here, to 2002. So with Ford again diverting its sponsorship dollars to Gibson Motorsport or 00 Motorsport, the team had to revert back to 1 car operation and also reverted to its Ford Credit Racing title. And as I said, that's the car we're looking at today. So with that done, without further ado, let's have a bit of a look at what this car did. For the 2002 V8 Supercar Championship, Glenn Seton and his team would scale back to a one-car operation, due to Ford Australia diverting its prime sponsorship dollars to Gibson Motorsport. One notable incident was the opening round at the Clipsal 500 at Adelaide. Coming into the fast-sweeping turn 8, Seton hit the inside wall and sent his Falcon into the concrete fence at more than 230 km per hour. The G-forces of the accident moved the 2-ton concrete wall almost 3 metres away, Seton luckily walking away with a cut chin from the seatbelt. But overall, Seton would finish the year in a disappointing 25th position for the 2002 series. However, the 2002 off-season also saw Seton selling his team to ProDrive, and the team was renamed as Ford Performance Racing. Seton would continue the drive for the team for the 2003 season. And now let's look at the model. Alrighty, so onto the model, but first we'll go over the box and certificate details. So we'll start off with the box. So you've got the front of the Classic Carlectables box there with the Ford Au Falcon, limited edition of 1200 pieces. If I flip this around, that's just the side with all the car parts opened. So yeah, that is the box. Then we'll move on to the certificate. Alright, so very quickly, the certificate of authenticity, limited edition of 1200. I have 690. Official Glenn Seton Racing licensed product, and the certificate is not signed by Glenn. So that is the certificate. Now we'll move on to the model. Alrighty, so the car we have here today is a Ford Falcon Au V8 Supercar. The Ford Falcon Au was the 6th generation of Ford Falcons, and also the Au series replaced the EL Falcon. The Au made its race debut in 1999, and to be honest, it was probably one of Ford's Australia's worst race cars. And not only to look at, but the car struggled with aero issues and with its front and rear spoilers, and overall race speed compared to the Holden VT and VX Commodores. A lot of Ford teams struggled with the car. Probably one team that had any success was Stone Brothers Racing and Gibson Motorsport. So yeah, it's not a car that really achieved much in the history of the sport. And yeah, not a lot of success for Glenn Seton in 2002. Alrighty, so starting off at the front of the model. One thing you can probably notice is actually how low these models actually sit, the old Classic Carlectables cars. I mean, that's pretty low, which is a good thing, you know. It's makes it realistic with the ride height and the cambers. So first off the mark, that's a good sign. Now the Au Falcon, in its very early years, it ran a very different front splitter. It's like I said, in its debut in 1995. The air intake used to have this. It was like a split running down the middle of the air intake here. And I'm guessing it was for aero advantages, but yeah, it did very little to help winning races. Then in the year 2000, the Ford teams decided to change the front of the car, the front bar, to what it is you see here. And I'll end up showing you that in that different bar in another Ford AU episode. And this era really of Classic Carlectables models was the first of its fully opening die-cast 118 models, compared to the previous tooling that Classics used in the early 1999 to 2001, I'm pretty sure. Back then they were using resin mould, no opening parts, a bit like the crap they're using today, but getting off topic. But other than that, you've got the detailed Ford logo. If I zoom in, beautifully done. There's a bit of dust on this car, I need to clean it. Yeah, but other than that, you've got again with the detailed engine pins, and overall very nice. So moving on to the top of the car. Now a few things to point out here is the Ford Credit logo. Ford Credit is like a financial service here that the Ford Motor Company provide. Obviously you've got the nicely done Ford logo, the detailed engine pins as I said before, and you've got the detailed emergency fire extinguisher logos there, plus the the actual paint and decals are on this model. It looks very well done on this model. So yeah, that covers the top of the car. Now we'll have a look at what's underneath the bonnet. Alright, it's time to look at what's underneath this bonnet. So let's see if this bonnet stays up. I'm pretty sure it will. Yep, there you go. There's the detailed engine bay. So the Ford Au Falcon V8 Supercar engine was putting out around 600 to 650 horsepower. As I said, a lot of Ford teams really struggled to get overall race speed out of these cars. Yeah, so anyway, so with the engine cover, removable carbon fibre, well, it's supposed to be like carbon fibre engine cover, so that's what you get there. Then you get the detailed Ford Windsor V8 engine, fully detailed, all the wiring, all the plumbing and all the canisters. So yeah, as always with classics, or with the older cars anyway, you get a very, very detailed engine bay. So that covers the front of the car. Now we'll move on to the side. Alrighty, so some of the detail points to point out is the actual paintwork on this model. You've got like a bit of a glitter effect in the silver and the actual blue on this car, which actually makes it really stand out. So as you can see, not a whole lot of sponsorship for this team that year. It's mainly Ford credit. But if you see here the Classics model car logo, the old logo, and there's like a few more down the bottom there, but predominantly Ford credit. Now, this number here, car 5, this is a very well recognised number for Ford Performance fans and Mark Winterbottom fans. So Glenn Seton and his team chose to run this number, I'm pretty sure, in 1996 or 1998. Seton used to run number 30, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, it's been with the team ever since then, all the way through to today. And if you follow the V8 Supercar Championship, you'll notice FPR, or whatever they're called now, running this number. So yeah, it originated from Glenn Seton Racing. Yeah, other than that, you have the 18-inch racing wheels with detailed window net there. You've got the detailed window screen with all the sponsorship logos there on it. And the overall tooling of the car is very well done by Classics. So moving on to the rear. So one thing about the AU was the rear wing on this car. Like I said, a lot of teams struggled with the aero package for this Ford. If it wasn't the front of the car, it was the rear of the car playing up. It didn't go too bad on street circuits, but come to places like Phillip Island or big long sweeping corners, the car was just horrible. But getting back to the detail side of the model, if I pop this up, you've got the detailed Classics fuel sump with all the wiring, all the plumbing. These cars were dual fuel systems for some reason, I don't know why. Usually there's just one side, but these have actually got dual fuel systems, so maybe it was just the regulations back then. But yeah, getting back to the detail on this car, it just amazes me how much these cars have changed over the years. The model cars, anyway, how can you go from this standard of detail and quality and go to some of the crap that Classics release today? Yeah, it just amazes me. And I'm talking about the V8 Supercar models anyway. So yeah, other than that, you've got the aerial. There's one on the rear and there's one on the roof. And then yeah, so that covers the rear of the car. Then we'll move on to the interior. Alrighty, so moving on to the interior of the car. You've got the detailed roll cage, and if I zoom in, you can just see how detailed this car is. Even on the steering wheel, I don't know how close it is, but you've got like all the rain lights, switches, and the actual, there is a Ford logo on there. But the actual, just the materials they used to use for these cars are unbelievable. Then you've got the 6-speed gearbox there with a shifter, and down the bottom here you've got the accelerator, the brake and the clutch, and then you've got the footrest there. So yeah, very well done for the driver's side, and of course you get the detailed race net. And with this car, all opening parts, as I said, all 4 doors open. Just looking at the passenger side, if I put that in there, you've got all the ignition switches down over there. And down here you've got all the anti-roll bars, brake bias, and just all the wiring and electronics. Yeah, pretty cool model for detail wise anyway. I mean, look at that. You've even got the Ford logo there on the dash. So yeah, very well done by Classic Carlectables. So that covers the detail points about this model. So now I'll give my honest review about this car, then we'll wrap it up. Alrighty, time for my honest review about this car. First up, quality. So for quality wise, for these Classic Carlectables AU models, it just goes to show what Classics used to offer to the diecast collectors. The car's overall look, tooling, and its spectacular paint job and decals are all very high. And as I said, it's a real shame what the company is releasing at the moment in terms of the V8 Supercar models. Even if they're just releasing 888 cars, you know, it's just a shame. But look, as I said in a previous episode, due to the price increase in China with its manufacturing and all that, model cars, I guess, had to rise in price, or they either had to drop in quality. So I guess they took the quality route. But anyway, getting back to this car here, there's absolutely no problems in that way of quality. So for quality wise, 2 thumbs up. That brings me on to details. So this is certainly one sharply detailed model. The detail is what makes these cars, or used to make these cars, so collectible. The car features all opening parts, including doors, bonnet and boot. Also under the bonnet is a very detailed V8 engine and its beautifully casted engine, plus a removable carbon fibre engine cover, and it's all its wiring and plumbing for the engine is nicely detailed as well, and the beautiful detailed racing wheels, plus the fully detailed fuel system and interior. So yeah, a very highly detailed model, so 2 thumbs up for that. Goods and bads, we'll start with the goods. So for goods, again, overall this is a great model. As I said earlier, there is like a glitter effect in the paint and the decals, which makes this model really stand out. Also, if you're getting this model, there's not a lot of disappointments with this car. The model looks great, very well replicated, so yeah, it's all good. Bads, yeah, not that I can see with my model anyway. That brings me on the price. This car was going for a retail price of $195 back in early 2003, and I brought this from my local hobby dealer for a price of $190. The model was released back in early March of 2003, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it is a fairly old model now in years. Asking price, if you're looking at getting this car at the moment, is going for around the $95 to $150 mark. Yeah, for some reason these cars don't really go for a high price, but yeah, that number may slowly rise over the next few years, I think. eBay price, there's 1 or 2 on eBay at the moment. Prices are ranging from $100 to $180 mark. But I'm sure if you shop around, you could definitely get this car cheaper than that. Yeah, maybe look around on Facebook or even a swap meet. I know at a swap meet you'll definitely get these a lot cheaper. How rare is the car? Well, me personally, I would think yes, it would be, seeing as in some way it is part of the FPR collection. Although there is only, what was it, 1,200 of these units made of this model. So there's 1,200 out there, but to be honest, it's not really a valuable model or a rare one. In some way, the Classics AU Falcons are seen as a car that you can get pretty cheap as well. But look, this car didn't really achieve much in 2002. One thing that it did achieve was that massive crash at Adelaide. But if you're looking at starting a Ford or FPR collection, or even Glen Seton collection, then yes, you're definitely going to need this in your cabinet. But for rarity, not really. Car to compare it to. So no, Classics were the only model company to make this, make the 2002 Ford Credit Falcon. They had the license to produce this car. Now Bianchi also make a Ford Falcon Au V8 Supercar, but I think I'll leave that for another time. I think I might do a comparison of the Classic DGR Falcon and the Bianchi DGR Falcon. But as I said, I'll leave that for another episode. Rating out of 10, this is a decent 9 out of 10 for this model. Look, this era of Classics cars, the company were producing outstanding V8 Supercar models. The cars look great, it feels great, very good quality and details with all opening parts and detailed interior. So all in all, a very replicated model, and if you're a passionate collector, I would highly recommend it. So that's it for episode 14 today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. So as I said, for the next few episodes, I'll keep in the theme of Ford models, or the Ford factory team cars. I know I've got a good one coming this week in the post, so please like, comment and share. And as always, if you want me to review a model, just let me know in the comment section and I'll try and get it done for you. And I'll give you a shout out in the video as well. So other than that, thanks for watching, guys. And I'll catch you around next time for another episode of Aussie Diecast Reviews. So catch ya.